comes to birth control,
One time
I
enough.
armor up.
Ooh, birth control. Let's not worry about that right now, boys and girls, unless you're not trying to conceive. Oh, excuse me, I don't know what happened about that with the birth control thing. Sorry about that, boys. But, you know, we got sponsors from all over the world coming in here to sponsor the Week Up Matchup Preview Show. So, birth control, I'll take it. Dr. Pepper, I'll take it. Anybody want to sponsor me? A la Atlanta Hawks and Adidas, I'll take it. All right, boys. So, we got Week 10 to look forward to right now with the Week 10 Matchup Preview Show. We're already 9 weeks down. More than a third of the way through the season. 7 teams. 4 and 5. 4 and 5. That is uncanny right now, the level of mediocrity or the level of competitiveness. We're like the NFL. We got 2 teams at the top. Everybody else right here in the middle. Just what you want. Some parity. So this week, we've got an eventful week of matchups. We got some bad teams versus good teams. And actually, that's really tough to say we have bad teams versus good teams. We have less than great team, less versus less better than bad team. Let's just say it like that. So some of those matchups, some good even 4 and 5 matchups, some 6 and 3 matchups. We got them all over the place here this week, boys. So I'm ready to talk a little bit about last week and then go ahead and jump in to this week that we've got in front of us. We're coming to you a little later than usual night, a little 10:45. First official week of hashtag Sum the Break for the teachers down here in GA. I don't know what's going on up there in Chi-Town with you, William S., but I hope you're getting ready to enjoy your Sum the Break as well. I'll be hitting the links Wednesday to celebrate once again. So as you can tell, I've been hitting it whoosh, Happy Gilmore style. All right, last week, my matchup predictions 2 and 4. Wish I would have been 3 and 3, which meant I would have beat Long Ballers and really shut down his winning streak, but 'twas not to be determined as my team shat out on the weekend. But 3 and 3 would have been nice. 2 and 4 looks right on par with most other weeks this year. A couple big things happened last week. Bryce traded back once again to yours truly. A little shifty, shaky trade dealings going on here. And earlier tonight, we saw Charlie Morton, one of the key pieces in that trade, dealt to T-Ball from Code Nope's team right there in a reacquisition of Ozzy Albies. So we've seen some player movement from one team to another, then jumping back and that team determining, you know what, I do want that player in my squad. I will say in both cases, Bryce Harper and Ozzy Albies, those players are really scuffling right now since the calendar has hit May. Bad batting averages, lots of strikeouts, less than stellar OPSs. Not what you're looking for. So Code Nopes and Trader Will, I know they're looking for some bounce back from those players. Also, let's see. We've seen Golden State take a 2-0 lead on the LeBron and the Cavaliers, and we could just say LeBron and the Broomsticks if you want to at this point in time. But unfortunately, it looks like Golden State's going to take their 3rd chip in 4 years against Bron and crew. Can't hold that against them. I'm not going to skip Bayless or Stephen A. Smith anybody and compare the Michael Jordan and LeBron thing. That seems beaten and stupid. We know LeBron is great, and let's not take that away from him. And lastly, we've seen a new column emerge on Monday mornings after the Cup of Joe. It's Steve's Musings. Steve, gotta say, man, I really appreciate it and really dig it. Unfortunately, I saw Gator Baseball went down to FAU today. I'm hoping they can come back, win the best of 3, but we'll see how that goes. There's a couple of Gators drafted in the first round with Singer and India going 5, and then India going 5, and then the Singer going in the 20s. So we'll see how those play out for those guys in a few years. Hopefully a little bit better than A.J. Puck and his Tommy John surgery that he encountered earlier this year for Oakland. All right, so that'll do it for last week. Enough of the past. Let's talk about le future. This week's 6 really great matchups. We've got Trader Will and Dr. Kananga, B. Ryan and T-Ball, Pick Up the Pace versus Driving Miss Daisy, Stroke and Charlie, Long Baller and Chuck Nasty, and then Al and Los Mexis. As I said earlier, we had a couple 4 and 5 matchups. We've actually got 2 of those right there with Long Ballers and Chuck Nasty. And then the first matchup we're going to talk about this week, Al Avila versus Los Mexis. Al Avila, comeback win last night. I mean, you really got to thank Benintendi for coming and hitting a dinger for you, putting you over the top there. Had some really great ball played, and Tim, got to give you some credit there, buddy. You were cripped up, and you really pulled out the dub last week in a stellar fashion. Los Mexis, I looked at your team earlier, and it was like, you know, you want the little yellow boxes for notes to be read. Well, instead, he's got letters that are read. DL, day-to-day, day-to-day, DL, DL. Dude has like 7 players holding that fancy right now, so I don't know if he needs to drop anybody like Byron Buxton, who's clearly shown he can't play Major League Baseball. He's a quad-A all-star. And maybe find some players that can play. I don't know. That's just my humble advice to you, my friend. But you went from 12th to 8th last week with your victory, leapfrogging me by 1 spot. So in the words of you, what do I know? I do know that I expect Al Avila to win, though. I expect Al to get to 500 and continue his ascent into the playoffs. That'll keep him in the top 6 for certain. Los Mexis, you're going to drop to 4 and 6 and continue to kind of jump back and forth between, am I going to be a team that's in the playoff hunt, or am I going to be in the consolation bracket? So Los Mexis, there's why I expect you to be 4 and 6, and Savdog, I expect you to be 5 and 5. Next up, we'll talk about the other 4 and 5 matchup. We'll talk about Long Ballers and Chuck Nasty. Chuck Nasty, when you think Los Mexis has been hit by injuries, he's been hit by numerous injuries. When you think about D-Harb's team and Chuck Nasty, they've just been hit by good player injuries. When you've got Pollock and Mookie and a washed-up Josh Donaldson on the DL, you're really hurting right there. And I know D-Harb's, he's had some issues this year, but having some injuries, that's really set him back. So he's looking at 4 and 5 in uphill battles, lost 2 straight. It might be 3 straight after this week. We don't know. Long Ballers is the hottest team in going right now. He's 4 and 5. Start off the year 0 and 5 before Ben's jacked his jaw, lit a fire in his ass. He traded Chris Bryant to some fellow, and since then he's been on fire. Long Ballers picking up Chris Sale, picking up George Springer in the process. Looked really good. Tough competitor last week. Pitching really shit out for him, but his offense did just enough on the last few days with David Peralta hitting 3 home runs to come through and pick up the dub last week to go to 4 and 5. And your team is so blazing hot that I expect you to continue that and go to 5 and 5 and keep your position in the playoffs. You were in 12th 3-4 weeks ago. You're all the way up in 5th now, man. That's dedicated. I don't know what you're doing differently. I don't know if your players are just kind of playing to their caliber or not, but Long Ballers, you've really got it going on, while Chuck Nasty, he's kind of trending downward in this angle, but then you got Long Ballers trending up at this angle. So as you can see, they're like intersecting right now at this path at 4 and 5. One's going down, one's going up. And Chuck Nasty, you're going down, my friend. Sorry to let you know. Next up, we have got the one of my favorite matchups I'm looking forward to this week, because when I think about it, I expect our chat board to sound like this for the next 6.5 days. Just non-stop blabbering back and forth in the background, looking at my notifications. 25 new notifications when you've just checked your phone 2.5 minutes ago. So you know what matchup I'm talking about. I'm talking about the mouth of the South, versus the mouth of the North. We've got down South Georgia versus up North Toronto. And we've got Steed, we've got B Green. We've got the pharmacist versus the Home Depot. We've got the fake real man versus apparently the real man, because he works and shops at Home Depot. He could probably build some wicked shit. If not, that's okay. T-Ball started off the year real rough, but he's kind of got it back together. He's floating right there in playoff contention. Not playoff contention, but he's floating at non-shittiness at 3 and 6. B Ryan floating right there. What a surprise, another team at 4 and 5. Just a few weeks ago, he was 3 and 2, and since then, he's just So, T-Ball, I don't expect you to stop him, though. I expect B Ryan to pick up a dub, avenge last week to Anthony, or not to Anthony, but avenge last week's defeat, and I expect you to continue to fall down and stay in 12th place. So you're going to be 3 and 7. B Ryan with his excellent staff of Severino, who started Monday with 8 1/3, gotta like that out the gate. And Justin Verlander, you'll get him a couple times. So I'm sorry to let you know, T-Ball, if his pitchers do what they normally do, he's going to be all right. Got Nomar Mazara playing well for him. You've just acquired Charlie Morton, who got rocked last night. But, hey, if he has one bad start, you know he's going to bounce back. I got faith in Charlie Morton, even though I dealt him. So, T-Ball, I expect you to be competitive. But in the end, I expect B. Ryan to win about 13-9. So, B. Ryan, you're going to take that and go to 5 and 5. T-Ball, you're going to fall to 3 and 7 and put yourself in a bigger hole than what you were when the season started. All right, so that wraps up half of our matchups right now. Let's take a break to let you know our sponsorship. Once again, brought to you by the Atlanta Hawks. Former Atlanta Hawk, Kyle Korver, rocking and rolling. Is he going to do anything for the Cavaliers tomorrow night in Cleveland? We can only hope so. We want the Cavs to win here. Nobody wants to see Golden State and the dirty-ass Warriors win another championship. So let's go, LeBron. Boo Draymond, eye-poking self. Boo Steph Curry trying to trip LeBron in the final minutes there. We all saw that when you fell down. You sling your leg up and try to knock him out. You cheating-ass bastard. So, go Cavs. Let's do it. Believe land. So, that's enough of that. Let's jump into the next 3 parts of our matchup week preview. We've got next Pup versus Driving Miss Daisy. Anthony today just jacking his jaw like nonstop on the chat board. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. Illuminati this. Go Gators that. Got to appreciate the Go Gators part, but really got to disapprove of most anything else she's talking about wrestling, because, you know, it's just some grade A bullshit. We want that original content, though, Anthony. So make it happen, Cap, and make a video, make a column. I don't give a shit. I just want to hear what you have to say so I can chuckle at it later. Pup, you are looking at 5-3 right now. I thought you were going to run away with that division, but that hasn't really happened recently. You've got B. Ryan nipping at your heels at 4-5, so 1.5 games back. This week, though, I think you're going to win. I think you're going to put some space, continue to keep that space, rather, between yourself and B. Green, as I already predicted he was going to win. But pick up the pace. I think you've got it going on right now. Your staff is looking much better. Your offense with Ozzie, if he comes back this week and does anything productive, you know that you're going to be in good shape there with maybe some stolen bases, maybe some couple dingers from an Oz piece. But I hope it goes well for you. You're not in my division. Anthony is, so I'm picking Pup to pick up the dub. Next up, we've got battle of 2 first-place division teams. We've got Strokeswood. We've got Charlie's Angels, a.k.a. Gainesville Steve, a.k.a. I like this guy because he likes the Gators. Strokeswood texted him this morning to get some pool advice. Gave it to me instantaneously. That's a man right there, boys. You got to appreciate that, helping a brother out. Strokeswood held on last week. That complete game shut up by Fulton Avich really was awesome. You're welcome. I was there at that game, so that's probably what boosted him up. I think that your team is doing all right. Aaron Judge getting those 7 strikeouts is it going to be a big deal? I don't know. You probably already lost that category for the week anyways. Gainesville Steve's offense just obliterated Benson last week with 143 total bases, 13 dingers, 43 ribbies. So if he bats that way again this week, I know Strokeswood's put up some high batting averages, but I can't see Gainesville Steve losing. I think he's on a roll. I think he's going to continue that roll, go to 7-3. Strokeswood going to 5-4-1. So beat down City against Strokeswood. Sorry about that. You probably won't get beat down as bad as Benson did, but you never know. All right, last but not least, we've got Dr. Kananga versus yours truly. And I'll tell you why this is our matchup of the week. This is our matchup of the week because not only did I claim a few weeks ago that, yes, I was going to beat Benson, but now is the time for me to back that talk up. I'm sorry about that ad right there. I don't know why it's doing that. Benson, this song is for you. I want you to think back to college. Going to one of those classes with one of those female teachers. This is days of the week, my friend. If you recall, I'm going back old school when we were buddies. Not new school, when you're an asshole commissioner and I'm just an asshole participant league GM in this league. So, days of the week. Monday, I'm banging my head because my team is 1-for-11. Tuesday, I'd rather be shot in the head because my team will probably shit out again. But Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, I'm coming to kick your ass. Saturday and Sunday, I don't know what's happening with my team. Just know, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, you better be batting 13 for 38 because I'm coming for you, you damn dirty son of a bitch. I hope you get beat down again. Your team's been a little lackluster. As this point in talking, though, you are beating me like 9-1. You've got a great relief core. I hope they stumble this week. If Jacob deGrom does what he normally does, I could be in trouble. I'm hoping Big Game James can shut down the Astros tomorrow night. Overall, I think it's going to be a close matchup. But as I said 2 weeks ago when it was business, and as this headband says, never give up. You can't see me as I'm beating you this week, Ben. I'm going to dominate you like 10-8. So I'm picking myself, Trader Will, to beat Dr. Kananga. I'm going to keep my pace of win-loss, win-loss, win-loss. Lost last week. It only makes sense to win this week and get to 5-5 at 500 in this league. So that'll conclude our matchup preview portion of the show. To conclude, I've got Trader Will winning, B. Ryan winning, Pick Up the Pace winning, Charlie's Angels winning, Long Ballers winning, and Alavila winning this week, which means probably like 2 of those teams to win. So flip a coin, boys. You might win. That'd be just as accurate as my predictions. So that'll do it for this week's matchup portion of the show. Real quick, I'm going to run over our 11th place team in the league right now, Chuck Nasty's Mullet. As I did last week, talked about our 12th place team. What do you know? He picked up a dub, moved up to 8th. Let's see if I can work some magic here with Chuck Nasty's Mullet, our 11th place team. Really looking in the doldrums this week. As I mentioned earlier, he's had a lot of players hit the DL. Important, not just scrub players, not just, replaceable players. The number 1 player in fantasy baseball got injured, DL'd. Then, at the time, the number 22nd player, A.J. Pollock, injured, DL. Then, at the time, the 686th ranked player, Josh Johnson, all batting 228 and 4 dingers, he got injured. As you can tell, that one doesn't count as much. But those first 2 really did, and they really brought down his team. So, I'm sorry for you, D-Harb, there. Your pitching staff has been leaky all season. I think that if you don't get it fixed, you're going to be in trouble, man. You've really got to try to swing a deal, swing a ding, if you will, to pick up a starting pitcher and try to do something there. Maybe even a name change might help out. We mentioned earlier as we talked that Chuck Nasty's Mullet just wasn't doing it. Might be time for a name change to the old squad. Maybe Esteban Loaiza's 6.0 might do the trick. or maybe Bionic Loaiza. Esteban Loaiza serving some time in the pen for, some drug dealings. At this time, do you know how many players he has with an OPS over 800? 4. 4 of his players have an OPS over 800 right now that are active. He's got Wilson Contreras, Mitch Haniger, Scooter Gennett, and the dude he just picked up off of Wasteman, the Zorilla. So, he does have Paul Goldschmidt on his team. He does own somebody named Jonathan Shoup, who was an all-star last year, who has an OPS of 650. So those guys really dragging his team down. So I think that's really hurting you, man. If you can get anybody back healthy in enough time, you should be all right. But when Gio Gonzalez is your staff ace, you've got some changes to be made, bro. So that's just my opinion to you. All right? Lastly, we're going to talk about the top 5. Speaking of D-Harb's team, what do we hear there? Injuries, key players. So this week's top 5 is going to be the top 5 injured players right now that you expected something from that are not contributing to your team. Number 5, Rhys Hoskins. He wasn't batting all that great when he got hurt for Los Mexis, but now he's hurt. Now his jaw's busted. Who knows how long he'll be out. He'll definitely be wearing a Giancarlo style like face guard, maybe a full-on hockey style mask if they allow it. Number 4, player we just talked about, AJ Pollock, was dominating for the Diamondbacks when he got hurt. Was dominating for D-Harb. Since he's been hurt, D-Harb's team's been scuffling. Coincidence? I think not. So AJ Pollock comes in at number 4. Number 3, a guy that hasn't contributed all season long, Mad Bum. Charlie's Angels drafted him to be the staff ace. He hasn't pitched all season since getting that broken hand. He's going to come back this week. I think it's going to be a big jump for Charlie Angels, a.k.a. Gainesville Steve. He's going to be real appreciative of that. Number 2, Strokeswood. Can't say I'm disappointed by this, but Clayton Kershaw. Oh, my back. Oh, my bicep. I'm 31 years old and I'm falling apart. He's been great for a long-ass time, boys, but maybe Kershaw's finally breaking down. I hope he's, hope he gets it back together. Always liked him, but right now, 87-mile-an-hour fastballs from Clayton Kershaw are something that we're not used to seeing. Last but not least, number 1, Mookie Betts. He's only been on the DL about 10 days, but in those 10 days, D-Harb could have really used him. If he comes back healthy, D-Harb's going to be fine, but if that continues to bother Mookie this year, you might see his batting average start to plummet. His defense will always be stellar, but if he's hurting in the ribs, who knows what's going to happen. So those are my top 5 injured players of the season, boys. I'm never going to give up on this matchup. I'm never going to give up on this season. I'm never going to give up on these videos. Let me know if you have any disagreements with my top 5 injured players. Until next week, peace.